Hi, today we're looking at Functional Skills Maths Level 1. We've got the Training Qualifications UK exam board. This is the sample assessment paper 2, and we're going to start with the non-calculator section. Question 1. Work out 0.432 times 100. Okay, we're timesing by 100. We've got two zeros, so we're making the number bigger. We're going to move the decimal point to the right. And two zeros, so we're going to move it once, twice into there. So we're going to end up with 43.2, which we can write in the answer box. Question 2. Work out 8 squared. Well, that means 8 times 8, so not 2 times 8, but 8 multiplied by itself. So we've got 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64. Question 3. This is an isosceles triangle. How many lines of symmetry does this shape have? Okay, well, an isosceles triangle means that it's got two sides and two angles the same. So looking at this one, these two sides are going to be the same, which also means that these two angles are the same. So our line of symmetry is going to be straight down the middle. Something like that. And they've said how many lines of symmetry? So we can just write 1. Okay. Question 4. 372 times 795 equals, put a comma in there, 295,740. Use these numbers to write a calculation that gives an answer of 372. Well, 372 is here. So we want this to be the answer. So we want something equals 372. Okay. Well, we know that if we multiply 372 by 795, we get this. So if we work backwards, in other words, if we start with the answer, 295,740, and do the opposite of multiplication, which is division, divide by 795, we'll get back to what we started with. So, well, I've written it up here, but we can just write the same thing. 295,740 divided by 795. Question 5. Convert 1,625 grams, put my comma in, into kilograms. Okay, well, there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so we need to take this number, the grams. If we go into kilograms, sorry, it equals 1 kilogram, there's fewer kilograms, which means the number's going to be getting smaller, so we need to divide it by 1,000. So again, if you think of where the decimal point is, well, we haven't got any decimals, so the decimal point is sort of at the end of the number. So if we're dividing by 1,000, we're moving it 1, 2, 3 places in. So we're going to end up with 1.625. Okay, question 6. Rowan is buying a fridge freezer in a sale. The original price of the fridge freezer was £360. The sale reduces the price by 15%. How much will Rowan save? Okay, so when we're doing these ones without a calculator, instead of working out 15 over 100 times 360, I like to think, well, let's start with 10%. 10% of £360. Well, we just take the 0 off the end, so it's going to be £36. And well, if we want 15%, well, that's going to be 10 plus 5. And 5% of £360, well, 5 is half of 10, so we want half of 36. So 36 divided by 2, which we can do with the bus stop method, like this. So 2 goes into 3 once with 1 remainder, and 2 goes into 16, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. That's 8 times. So 5% of £360 is going to be 18. If we want 15%, we need to add these two together. 6 plus 8 is 14. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we get £54. That is the price of the, or the value of the reduction. And they want to know how much we'll save, so it is £54. Sometimes they might ask you what's the new price of the fridge, in which case, or fridge freezer, in which case we'd then need to take this off the original. That's why we've got to read it carefully to make sure, do they want the actual discount or do they want us to do something with it afterwards? And in this case, they just want the value of the discount. Question 7. Convert 1,050 pence into pounds. Well, there's 100p or pence in £1. So we want 1,050 divided by 100. So it's all about moving the decimal point again. We're making the number smaller. So we're going to move it once for 1 0 and move it again for the second 0. So we then get £10.50. Question 8. The table shows the colours of different sweets in a packet. We've got 3 red ones, 8 green ones, 3 orange ones, 9 yellow ones, and 4 purple ones. Use the information to complete this bar chart. So they've started this bar chart for us here. We've got a title, a bar chart showing the colour of sweets in a packet. We've got a number of sweets over here. And we've got the colours here. So we've got the label colour, and then we've got what the actual colours are. Okay. Now what you'll notice is we've got a number of sweets here, but we haven't got any actual numbers up down the side. So we need to work out what numbers we should put in. Well, we're always going to start at 0 at the bottom. We had 3 red ones, so if we have a look at red, 1, 2, 3, so they must just be going up by 1 each time. So if we continue with our numbers, 5, 6, 7, 8, that means we should have had 8 green ones, which we have, which is brilliant. Now if we look, the biggest number is 9, so we want to put a 9, in fact we can put a 10 up there as well. But we've got the first 3 bars, we haven't got yellow or purple, so we need 9 for yellow. So here's 9, here's yellow, 9 is up here, so we want our bar to go up to there. And we want it to be about the same width as the others. You can measure the others and do it absolutely spot on perfect if you want to, but I'm going to do it just approximately the same. That's my sort of attempt at colouring in. And for purple, we've got 4. So here's 4, so that's going to be the top of the bar. I'll just draw that one down. And so I'm just going to, if you left them empty, that would be fine. But now we've got it covered. So we've included our 2 bars, but we've also added our values on the side. Question 9. A community centre is planning a party in the park. A tent, a table and 2 chairs need to be put next to each other on the edge of the park. We've got the length of them. So we've got a tent is 3.89 metres, chair is 0.59 metres, and a table is 1.50 metres. The edge of the park is 10 metres wide. How much space will be left along the edge of the park? Give your answer in metres. Okay, so if we think, let's do a quick sketch. This is going to be our park. Assume it's a rectangle. We don't know, but it doesn't matter because we're only interested in the edge of the park. So we're going to be looking along here. And so we've got a tent. So we can have a tent here. A table. So this tent is 3.89 metres. We can have a table. (1.5 metres). And then 2 chairs. So 1, 2, these are our chairs. And each of these is 0.59 metres. So what they want to know is how much is left afterwards. And they have told us that the full width is 10 metres. So if we can work out what the total is, we can then take that away from the 10 metres. So in other words, we've got our 3.89, our 1.5, 1.50, 0.59, and because it was 2 chairs, we need another 0.59. And we're going to add these all up. So we've got 9 plus 0 is still 9, plus another 9 is 18, plus another 9 is 27. So put the 7, carry the 2. 8, actually I'm going to use the 2 because I know 8 and 2 will give me 10. So 8 plus 2 is 10. 5 plus 5 is another 10, that's 20. 25. Bring down the decimal point. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So we've got a total of 6.57 metres. We want to know what's left. So if we're starting with 10 metres, we want to subtract 6.57. Now you see I've lined up the units, but we've got nothing to take these decimals away from, so I'm going to put the zeros in. So 0 take away 7, we can't do that. We've got nothing to take from here, so we're going to go all the way along and we're going to say, I'm going to reduce this 1. So in other words, we're going to make that 0 and make this 10. And we want to pass a number down, so we're going to now reduce the 10 to a 9. Pass 1 over here, reduce that 10 to a 9. Now we've got 10, we can take 7 away and leave 3. 9 take away 5 is 4, decimal point. 9 take away 6 is 3. So we get a final answer of 3.43 metres. And that's the end of the non-calculator section. Okay, we're on to section B and question 1. Round 0.348 to 1 decimal place. So 1 decimal place would be the 3. So we look at the digit after it. So if it's 5 or more, we would increase this by 1. If it's less than 5, we're just going to keep it as 0.3. Question 2. Which of these angles is greater than a right angle? Well, a right angle looks like something like this, or any of these corners, that's something like that, is a right angle. So that one is a right angle, so it's not greater than it, so it's not A. This one is smaller. Remember, the angle is this not distance, but it's the how spread apart the lines are. So this one's smaller, so it can't be B. C, well, this is bigger because a right angle would just be this bit here, so we've got more than that, so it's looking like C. Check with D. Well, yeah, a right angle would be here. This is smaller, so it's got to be C. Question 3. A fair coin is tossed. What is the probability of getting ahead? Mark your answer on this probability scale. Okay, well, if you toss a coin, it's a head or a tail. So 2 options. A head, well, there's only one of them. So the answer is going to be a half. So it's going to be in between 0 and 1, right in the middle, which would be here. Question 4. A plumber records the lengths of plastic pipes in a factory. Again, I'm going to put my commas in here to make it easier to read them. So we've got 16,750 millimetres, 16,201 millimetres, and so on. The plumber thinks the range is greater than 1,500 millimetres. Is the plumber correct? Well, the range is the biggest number minus the smallest number. Well, which is the biggest? They're all in the sort of tens of thousands. 16, 16, 16, 16, 16. This is the only one starting with 17,000. So that's the biggest. So we're going to have that number at the top. And what's the smallest? 16,700, 16,200. Could be this one. 16,400. No, this is still smaller. 16,700. No, that's bigger. 16,800 is bigger. 16,120. So that's the smallest one. So we're going to subtract this. So we've got 9 minus 0, which is still 9. 7 minus 2, which is 5. 3 minus 1 is 2. 7 minus 6 is 1. And 1 minus 1 is nothing. So we've got 1,259. The plumber thinks the range is greater than 1,500 millimetres. Well, no, 1,259 is less than 1,500. So is the plumber correct? No. Question 5. A coffee shop tests 6 cups of coffee to find the perfect temperature. The temperatures were 23 degrees Celsius, 44 degrees Celsius, 68, 68, 65 and 44. The manager thinks the mean temperature is more than 50 degrees Celsius. Is the manager correct? Show how you decide. Well, to work out the mean, we need the total, and then we divide that by how many we've got. So the total means we've got to add these all together. So get the calculator. 23 plus 44 plus 68 plus another 68 plus 65 plus 44, and we get 312. Oh, actually, yeah. So we can write 312, and we want to divide that by how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 312 divided by 6, and we get 52. Okay, manager thinks the mean temperature is more than 50 degrees. Well, 52 is more than 50. So, is the manager correct? Yes, they are. And I just realised on question 4, we did the subtraction manually. We could have used the calculator. But as you'll see, it was reasonably straightforward. But don't forget your calculator. It can save a little bit of time. Okay, question 6. Harper is going camping and checks the temperature forecast. Saturday night, we've got 5 degrees, and Sunday night is minus 2 degrees. Harper thinks it will be 3 degrees colder on Sunday night than on Saturday night. Is Harper correct? Okay, well, if we want to find the difference in temperature, we want to take the bigger number, so 5, and we want to subtract the smaller number. So 5 subtract, and the smaller number isn't just 2, it's minus 2. So, with that one, we can say, well, we've got a minus number. That's going to be the same as 5 plus 2. Well, 5 plus 2 is 7. Now, if you want to check this, if you're not totally comfortable with this 2 minuses making a plus, you can say, well, 5 minus, and then the way we do it on the calculator is we have to do 2 minus. So 5 minus minus 2, and that still gives us 7. Okay. Well, 7 is not equal to 3. So is Harper correct? No, not this time. Okay, question 7. 12 people in an office took part in a charity run. The tables show how much money each person raised. So we've got person A, B, C, D, and this is how much each one raised. Use the information to complete the grouped frequency table. Okay, so we want to know how many people raised between £0 and £9.99, between £10 and £19.99, and so on. So let's have a look at how many raised between £0 and £9.99. Well, that's more. We've got 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 for the first one. How many raised between £10 and £19.99? We don't need to look at the crossed out ones anymore. These are all more. So we've got 1 there. Just the 1, I think. How many raised between £20 and £29.99? We've got 1, 2. It's just 2. And the good way we're doing it like this is if you miss any out, and you'll spot it at the end, and then you can just add them back in. So between 30 and 39.99, so something beginning with 30. So there's 1. We've used up all of those now. 2, 3. And between 40 and 49.99, they're all used. We've just got 1 there. And you can see they've all been crossed off. So there we go. That's our answer. Question 8. Hayden wins £12,500 in a competition. Hayden puts the money into a new savings account which pays 5% simple interest per year. How much money will Hayden have in 1 year? So we've got 12,000. I'll write it up here. £12,500. Okay, and it pays 5% simple interest. So we want 5% of 5 out of 100 times 12,500. Okay. 5 out of 100 times 12,500 gives us £625. Okay, that's the interest he gets. We want to know how much he'll have after a year. So we need to add on the original 12,500, which gives us £13,125, which we can now write in here. Question 9. Ash records the time spent on different activities in a day. So travel, he spends 1 hour and 15 minutes. Eating, 1 2/3 of an hour. And exercise, 90 minutes. Ash thinks the most time is spent on exercise. Is Ash correct? Right, well, they're all expressed slightly differently. We want to convert them so that they're all in the same. It's up to you how you want to do that. You could do it all in minutes. I'm thinking maybe hours and minutes might be nicer. We've got 1 hour and 2/3, or 1 2/3 of an hour. Well, 2/3 of an hour is 60 minutes, so it's going to be 2/3 of 60. So in other words, 2/3 times 60. Now, so that we don't get a rounding issue, we can do the big number first and then multiply it by the fraction to give us 40 minutes. If we'd done the 2/3 first, we'd have to round it. Okay, you'd still round it and you'd still get £40, but that's why I did it in the other order, so that we do the whole number, we don't get this problem. Okay, so this is the same as 1 hour and 40 minutes. And exercise is for 90 minutes. Well, again, we know there's 60 minutes in an hour. So if we take off 60 for 1 hour, we're left with 30 minutes. 1 hour, 30 minutes. Ash thinks the most time is spent on exercise. Is Ash correct? No, because it is eating. No. He spends most time eating. Okay. Question 10. Morgan receives £2,250. Morgan pays £45 into a savings account. Morgan thinks this is 1/15 of the £2,250. Is Morgan correct? Show your working. So you've got two ways of working it out. You could do 45 divided by 2,250. Or you can say, well, what would 1/15 of this be? So 1/15 times 2,250. So if we do this, we get, you see we've got this slight rounding problem as well because we did the fraction first. But we can still read it as £149.99. We've got another 9, so we'd need to round it up. So that 99 would become a pound, so we'd end up with £150. But again, to avoid that problem, if we do the 2,250 first, and then, well, instead of multiplying it by a 15th, you could just say, well, that's just dividing it by 15. Okay, so, well, £150 is clearly not equal to £45. So is Morgan correct? No, they're not. Question 11. Alex has these instructions for roasting a chicken. So 45 minutes is what you start with. Multiply by the weight of the chicken in kilograms. Add 20 minutes, and that gives you the total cooking time in minutes. Alex thinks it will take less than 2 hours to roast a 2.4 kilogram chicken. Is Alex correct? Well, let's see. Well, we take the 45 minutes. We multiply it by the weight of the chicken in kilograms. Well, they've told us it's 2.4 kilograms. Then we're going to add 20 minutes, and then we're going to get our answer. So let's see what happens if we do that. So 45 times 2.4 gives us 108, and then we add on the 20, which gives us 100. And wait a minute, did I do that right? 45 times 2.4 is 108 plus 20. Oh, I think it did plus 28. Sorry, yeah. Plus 20 gives us 128 minutes. Alex thinks it will take less than 2 hours. Well, 2 hours is 2 times 60, because there's 60 minutes in an hour, which is 120 minutes. So, does it take less than 2 hours? Well, no, it's more than 2 hours. So is Alex correct? No. We can write that down here. Okay. Question 12. The diagram shows a scale drawing of a garden. On the scale, 1 centimetre represents 2 metres. Okay, and we've got that diagram there, and we've got measurements for some of the sides, but not all of them. Okay, and we're told a gardener wants to put a border around the edge of the garden. The border is sold in 5 metre rolls. How many rolls does the gardener need to buy? So this is a perimeter question, because they're talking about around the edge of the garden. Okay, so we want to know all of the lengths around the garden. So we're going to need to find this length, and we're going to need to find this length. Well, for this length, we're going to look at all the down distances. So if we think that length, it's the same as this full distance minus that bit there. So in other words, it's going to be 3 centimetres minus the bit at the bottom, which is 0.4 centimetres. So 3 minus 0.4 gives us 2.6 centimetres. And now if we look at this one going across, this distance is going to be, well, the full length would be 2 centimetres. We want to subtract this bit, which is a 1.5. So 2 minus 1.5 gives us 0.5 centimetres. So we've got this one and this one. So if we want to know the distance all the way around, I always like to pick a corner. We'll start here. So we're going to have 1.5 centimetres, 1.5. Then we're going to add on this distance, which is 2.6. Then we'll add on this 0.5. Then add on the 0.4. Add on the 2. And add on the 3. And I'm back to where I started. The reason I do that is because sometimes it's easy to miss out a length or double count. Okay, so we just want to add these all up. We've got 1.5 plus 2.6 plus 0.5 plus 0.4 plus 2 plus 3 gives a total of 10 metres. Okay, now if you remember that, sorry, not metres, it's centimetres. But this is a scale drawing. 1 centimetre represents 2 metres. So if we multiply this by 2, we're going to get the actual distance in metres. So we've got our 10 in the calculator. We multiply that by 2. So that's going to be the equivalent of 20 metres. Now it'd be easy to miss that out, but we've got to make sure we apply the scale. So if the board is sold in 5 metres, well, we want to know how many 5s go into 20. So in other words, 20 divided by 5. Still got the 20 there, divided by 5. So it's going to be 4 rolls that he needs to buy. Okay, question 13. The diagram shows the plan view of a playground. So the plan view means looking straight down on top of it. It's like bird's eye view. And again, we've got some measurements. We haven't got all of them. And we're told a builder will cover the playground in soft tiles. Each tile is 1 square metre. Okay, so they're going to be like this all the way across. The tiles will be red and green in the ratio 1 to 4. Okay, so every time there's 1 red one, there will be 4 green ones. How many green tiles will be used? Well, our starting point is going to be how many tiles do we need altogether? Okay, so we want to know how many metres squared is this whole space. Now, we should remember that the area of a rectangle is the length times the width. Now, you might say that this isn't a rectangle. It's not, but we can turn it into rectangles by doing that. So now we've got 1, 2, 3 rectangles. So we can work out the area of each of them and then add them all together. So this one, the area, is going to be the length, which is 5 metres, times the width, which is 3 metres. 5 times 3, we can use the calculator, which gives us 15 metres squared. Okay. This one down here is going to be this length. Well, we haven't got this length, but we know that the full length is 15. This part is 5, so we want to take off this 5. And that part's 5, so we take off another 5. So 15 minus 5 minus another 5 leaves us with 5 metres. Okay. And what about this distance down here? Well, if it's 3 metres all the way, we've got 3 metres, and we'll take off this bit at the top, 1 metre, which is 2 meters. Okay, so the area here is 5 times 2, which is 10 meters squared. Okay. Now you might, when you're looking at this, you might say, but this length doesn't look twice as long as that. But that's why they say this isn't to scale. You need to work it out. Okay. Now we've got a rectangle over here as well. We've got, this is 5 meters. We haven't got this measurement, but it's going to be the same as this one over here. So that's going to be 3 meters as well. So it'll be 5 times 3 again. We've already worked that out. It's 15 meters squared. Okay, so the total area is going to be 15 plus 10 plus another 15, which is 15 plus 10 plus 15 gives us 40, and that's 40 meters squared. So that means 40 tiles. Okay. That's the total number of tiles. Okay. Now we need to use our ratio now. So I'm going to draw a ratio table. So we've got red and green tiles. So red, green, and then we're going to have a total column. Now for every 1 red, there are 4 green. So if that's all we had, 1 plus 4 would have a total of 5. But actually, we've got a total of 40 tiles. So we want to know how many times of this row do we need to get up to this one. And what we do is we work backwards. So we say, well, let's take the 40 and let's divide it by the 5. So 40 here, divided by 5, and we get 8. So what we're saying is this bottom row is 8 times bigger than the first row. So if we want to know how many red and green tiles, we just multiply these by the same number. Okay. They haven't asked us about red tiles, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's nice, and you can check that way as well. I'll show you how. So 1 times 8 is just going to be 8 anyway. 4 times 8 is 32. And what we can do to check we've done it right is if we add these two together, 32 and 8, we get 40. They're just asking how many green tiles will be used. Well, these are the green tiles here, so it's going to be 32, which we can write down in the answer box. Okay. Question 14. A baker needs to prepare enough muffins for 20 people. The baker has this recipe. So we've got muffins, serves 4 people. And we've got 300 grams of blueberries, 100 grams of sugar, 2 eggs, 200 millilitres of buttermilk, 300 grams of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 60 grams of butter. The baker buys flour in bags of 0.5 kilograms. How many bags of flour will the bakery need to buy in total? Okay, so we're only interested in flour. So that means we can ignore the blueberries, ignore the sugar, the eggs, buttermilk, baking powder, butter, only flour that we're interested in. Okay, so for all that information they gave us, we can ignore a lot of it. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is say, well, this is in kilograms. The weight we've got here is in grams, so I want to turn this into kilograms. Okay, well, I know that there's 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. So if we multiply 1,000 by 0.5, this is going to tell me how many grams we've got. So 1,000 times 0.5 means we've got 500 grams of flour in each bag. Okay. Right, we've got to work out how much flour we need for 20 people. We know that we need 300 grams for 4 people. I'll show you 2 ways of doing it. probably the easiest way to think about it is to say, well, let's work out how much we need for one person. So if we divide it by 4, we get 75 grams. Okay, for one person. So if we want 20 people, we just multiply it by 20. And we get 1,500 grams. Now what you could do instead, a bit of a shortcut maybe, is say, well, 4 people, well 4 goes into 20. And if we do 20 divided by 4, we'll see that it's 5 times bigger. So instead of dividing by 4, we could just multiply 300 times 5, which gives us the same answer. Just an alternative, okay? Don't worry about that. You can always work out one. That's just, some people might like to do it that way. Okay, so we know we need 1,500 grams of flour in total. And we know that there are 500 grams of flour in each bag. So how many bags do we need? Well, we take the total 1,500 divided by the amount of flour in one bag. And in fact, you could cancel the zeros, but we're going to put it all in our calculator anyway. And we get 3 bags full. Okay. And finally, question 15. Ali wants to fill this flower bed with compost. And we've got the dimensions here of the flower bed. Ali wants to buy 15% more compost than needed. How many litres of compost will Ali need to buy? And they're telling us that 1 litre is equal to 1,000 centimetres cubed. So first of all, we want to know what's the volume of this shape, because that's going to tell us how much we're going to need. And the volume is the length times the width, so like a rectangle. But then to make it 3D, because it's a 3D shape, we then multiply it by the height. Okay, the order doesn't matter. Basically, we can say the length is 200, the width is 50, and the height is 60. But yeah, any order we multiplied them will still give the same answer. So 200 times 50 times 60, we've got 600,000 centimetres cubed. Right, that's the volume. Now, we've got 2 things to do. We need to turn it into litres, but also he needs 15% more compost. So I'm going to do the converting first, because I know that by converting, my number's going to be smaller. So it just seems easier to work with a smaller number. So to go from centimetres cubed into litres, if there's 1,000 centimetres cubed in 1 litre, we're going to divide this by 1,000 to tell us how many litres. Because we're going to have fewer litres than centimetres cubed, so we're going to divide to make it smaller. And that gives us 600 litres. Right. But we do need to add on this 15%. So 15% more, well, we can say 15 out of 100 times 600. Gives us 90 litres. That's the extra 15%. So if we want the total that he needs to buy, it's going to be 600 plus the additional 90, which you shouldn't need a calculator for this, but you can use it to check. It's going to be 690 litres, which we can write down here. And that's the end of the paper. So thanks for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so you find out when I add more videos, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.